Hello, my name is Maggie, and you're watching Pretty Guardian Gaming, your virtual home base for gaming and nerdy content. Today, I am excited to be talking to you about the game Atelier Resleriana, the Red Alchemist and the White Guardian. This game was developed by Koei Tecmo and came out in September of 2025, which was remarkable because Atelier Yumia had just came out in March, so Atelier fans were eating good in 2025. I first came to this series about 5 or so years ago with Atelier Sophie. I love fantasy, JRPGs, magical girls, crafting, and cozy games. In so many ways, this series felt like it was right up my alley. But unfortunately, Atelier Sophie just didn't keep my attention. She ended up going back on to the virtual shelf to never be finished. But I wasn't ready to give up on the series, and the next one that I played was Atelier Ryza. This is the one that fully pulled me in. Atelier Ryza was a common boarding point for a lot of fans in the series. There was a lot of publicity related to how thick they made her thighs. For me, it was more about the general polish. This was the first Atelier game that felt like a modern game in terms of the anime graphics, user interface, open world gameplay. Now, let's fast forward to the game that we came here to talk about, Atelier Resleriana. This game features two primary protagonists. Rias is our alchemist. At first glance, she seems like a carefree young lady, but 12 years prior to the start of the game, there was a mysterious event that caused the population of her hometown of Hallfane to disappear. Now she genuinely wants to use her alchemy to help the people of her town to recover from that tragedy and to figure out what happened 12 years ago to make everyone disappear. Then we have Slade. He fights with a spear and lightning attacks, and he's in possession of a Geist core that can be used to explore these repeatable dungeons called dimensional paths. This feature, along with some of the other traits to the game, makes it feel like it would be really easy to slot in DLC in a way that expands the game and feels organic to what's already there. Since launch, they've added 4 DLC packs and have done multiple updates to the game, so now is a great time to jump in and get the full experience. Atelier Resleriana is not open world like Atelier Yumia was. The zones feel very instanced. The general gameplay involves exploring new maps where you will harvest ingredients to use for your alchemy and fight lots of monsters. If you're enjoying this video so far, please give it a like and subscribe so that you can be the first to know when I post new videos. I have a very big announcement coming soon that all of my fantasy lovers out there will hopefully appreciate. Without further ado, let's talk about the combat. Combat is turn-based, which I love because it's less stressful than action combat. It often feels more strategic because you can think carefully about what abilities you want to use, and it's a little bit nostalgic. This is more like how classic Atelier games used to play, as opposed to Atelier Ryza that does active time battles, or Yumia that almost borders on action. In Resleriana, you have 3 members of your party in the front line and then 3 in the back. You can use the multi-action button to perform an action and then swap them out at the same time. When you do this, you'll have to either use a skill or an item. Skills cost AP points. You can see your AP above the character's health bar, and you can see the AP cost for a skill from the skills menu. When using a multi-action, you get a reduction to the AP skill cost, which is a nice incentive to use the multi-action attack. To the left of your skill name, you can see a little icon indicating the elemental type of the skill you're using. For example, Reza is primarily using wind and magic. The different enemies you fight can have different resistances and weaknesses to the different elements. There are also support skills that can heal your party or boost their defense. Overall, the system is a lot of fun, and it actively encourages you to swap your party members routinely throughout a fight. I feel like what would often happen in classic JRPGs is you would settle into a certain group of party members that you really enjoyed playing with, and then the other ones would just kind of be left behind. But that's not really the case here because you're going to be constantly swapping through your different party members. After a fight, you'll gain XP, Gold, and SP. SP can be spent in the menu screen to upgrade and unlock new abilities and stats for your characters. Once you gather up your ingredients, you can go back to your Atelier to craft new items and gear that will further your progression. To synthesize items, you just head to the big sparkly cauldron in the center of the room. On PC, you'll press E to synthesize and then navigate through the menu to find the item that you want to create. I had a hard time uncovering a lot of the new recipes. Some of them you'll discover naturally through progressing the game, exploring different zones, or just by upgrading items and equipment. But there were more than a few times that I had to look up how to make different items because I don't think the game did enough to guide me there naturally. This is a small critique though, because in general, Resleriana is a very easy game. Between how quickly you can grind levels and how powerful some well-synthesized items and gear can be, you will rarely be challenged. From the recipe screen, just click on the item that you want to make, and then in the next menu, you can start adding your ingredients together. Individual ingredients will have their own level and traits, and then you can combine them to get the type of item and traits that you want. In general, you want to link the ingredients together based on the color in order to make the item as powerful as it can be. If the ingredients are not linked by the color, then you'll not be able to upgrade it to the next level of item in the chain. Once you have all the ingredients linked, just hit tab to synthesize. The crafting system in previous Atelier games, like Atelier Sophie 2, felt more robust, but I appreciate how easy it is to make items in Resleriana, and you can still get more in-depth customization. The items that you make can be used in combat, or you can sell them in your shop. That's right, our main girl is a merchant. From your shop, you can put out individual ingredients or crafted items to sell. You have little fairy shopkeepers who have different bonuses that they can apply to your shop. Using them will cause them to level up. You'll get lots of money, and then this will build experience for your town, and you can help upgrade the town during the course of the game until it's a beautiful and thriving place once again. Atelier Yumia was more tonally interesting, and being an open world game, it felt more ambitious. But I appreciated the well-polished, classic feel of Resleriana. The UI was beautiful, and a lot of the design motifs, such as the focus on sunrise and sunset, and the associated colors were so pretty. It was a very interesting move to release both Atelier Yumia and Atelier Resleriana in the same year. I wish that I could pick out a favorite between the two, but honestly, I can't. I feel like they're both great games that kind of deliver on different things. For example, Atelier Yumia was a lot more experimental, like with the shooting mechanics, the driving the motorcycle, the whole exploration of the open world map that was going on there. And then in Atelier Resleriana, you get what I think is a more coherent Atelier game. You have the classic turn-based combat, and it's really just a beautiful, polished, and coherent experience that's well-paced from start to finish. And I would love to see what the developers do with either of these games in the future. To help round out some of the feedback that I'm giving here, I also wanted to share a negative review from Steam posted by MTG Ninja. He did not recommend this game and said that mechanically it's one of the weakest Atelier games. It has the least party members out of all of the Atelier games, one of the least interesting synthesis systems, and there's no bonus dungeon. The story is largely backloaded as well, with all the important plot points happening near the beginning and at the end. The middle is largely filler, which could have been used to flesh out the world more. There's also an antagonistic force which shows up but turns out to be mostly irrelevant to the story and leaves soon after. I would only recommend this game to Atelier fans who really want to see more of their old favorite characters and don't care about the other elements of the game. I will say that there's plenty of that. You get to see previous characters from all across the Atelier series. Is it worth it in my opinion? No. I hope that next time they won't rely on nostalgia as much. They mentioned that this game has the least party members out of all the Atelier games, I don't know if that's true or not, but what I will say from my perspective is that I think that they had the perfect number of party members considering the battle system that they had created. Having an even number of characters that you can swap back and forth with makes a lot of sense to me, as opposed to having 7 where you would once again have kind of this odd character out, and the more that you add, it would just become cumbersome. In my opinion, 6 was the perfect amount for this combat system. The rest I could quibble on, but it's mostly true and a valid opinion. The game took me about 70 hours to beat. I did a majority of the side content, but did not 100% everything or do any of the DLC. So depending on your own playstyle, you can get more or less out of the game. At $60, I think it's a fair price for this game considering the voice acting, general fidelity, and the amount of content. It does go on sale occasionally too. If you've never played an Atelier game before, I still think Atelier Ryza might be a better entry point to the series. However, I loved Atelier Resleriana and would highly recommend it as a game for the fans. Thank you so much for watching along today. I have an exciting announcement for everyone who's been following me over the years, and I can't wait to share it with you next week. But for now, I'm gonna leave you with a little mystery. Drop a sparkle emoji in the comments if you made it to the end of this video, and I will catch you in the next one.